accidentally shut off the previous video, so I'm just continuing on another video. So we're still on the 21st, and looking at the footprint chart, we see that we're relatively negative since the open. Looking on the jigsaw panels. By the way, I don't know if I explained jigsaw setup to you, so it's probably a good time to do that right now. I have to start the program for it to move. Okay, so what do we have here? We've got a couple of things. We're looking at the volume profile right here. That's the same thing you have on your footprint chart. This is the price. This is the snapshot. I'll explain that in a minute. This is the resting limit orders. These two columns are the actual orders that have gone off. In other words, these are trades that have been executed. The red are the sells, the blues are the buys. Here is the resting offers, and here's their snapshot. And this is very important here. This is the split volume. Sometimes on replay you don't get as much functionality on some of these applications that you would like. Okay, that brings it down. Okay, so let's do that on both of them. You just on this replay is very valuable, but it does have its idiosyncrasies, to say the least, and it can be very frustrating, but it's an invaluable tool. Okay, so here we are on Jigsaw, and this is the split volume. It's better to show it right here, down here. Split volume is the volume of sells and the volume of buy. That's fairly straightforward. But here's how I use it. I think probably this is just my own idea. I don't know. I'm looking at the ES. Let's say I was anticipating that maybe I'm going to take a trade here on the ES. Footprint here is showing there's a possibility that we have a low, and that maybe you're going to get a long trade here. We don't know. So what am I looking at on Jigsaw? Well, the first thing I see on Jigsaw, and this would be, remember I said that I refresh one when I'm in a trade, but I let the other one run from any arbitrary time, before the open or at the open, and then I just keep it. I never refresh this one. I don't refresh it. I let this accumulate because I want to see what's really happening during the day. And then when I'm in a trade, I want to see what's actually happening at that very moment in time. Now, that's just my idea. I think it works pretty nicely. Other people may not like it for whatever reason, but I think it's very good to know where you've been, and then when you're actually in a trade, you can see the numbers in real time, and you don't have to start subtracting them in your head. Now, when I took John Grady's course, this is one of the things that was really hard to follow throughout that whole course, and his teaching. And that's just the way he does it. He does most of the stuff in his head. But I thought, why should I have to do it in my head all the time when I can just bring up another platform and let that do the heavy lifting for me? So Okay, so now we're stopped in time here. It looks like maybe, how do I know that this is really a reversal here? All I have to do is look at this Jigsaw platform, and it's telling me straight out that where the price is now at 77.50, you just had 1400 go off in the ES on the sell side. Okay, so I'm going to say, wait a minute here. Chart says one thing, my footprint says something else. My delta might be positive, but let's see what's really happening there. And what really happened is 1400 have gone off since this chart is accumulating. Now I go back to this one and I have to start up the program. Okay, I'm just going to do it in real time 1x for a minute. Now I'm going to look at this and let's just refresh it. Ah, that drives me crazy. Why do things never work? Okay. Okay, so here we are. I'm just going to stop it a second here. I just want to show you something. What am I seeing here? I'm still seeing that there were more sellers, and you see that in the split volume. In this area here where we are at 77.25, 77.50, we had more sellers. And here's another good example of how these crosses can give you the support and resistance numbers. I think I use them, and I think they're pretty valuable. If you look at the sell versus the buy side on the split volume, where is the line in the sand? In other words, where do you start seeing more buyers than you do sellers? Okay, this would be the range. This would be the current range. So where do you start seeing more buyers? Well, more buyers were in down here. They were buying down here at 76.50. You had a seller right below that, okay, at 76.25. But then you had 44.97 here, and you had 34.64 here. So that's kind of like almost like a line in the sand, because the one up now, you have the direct opposite. You have fewer buyers and you have more sellers. So that's kind of your line in the sand there. You're going to say, you're going to look at this. If the price gets down here, you're going to be looking to see what actually is going off. Okay, now here you can see at this point in time down here. Now the market is not there. Okay, the market is up here. The current price is 77.25. But down here, okay, you had 23.86 that went off and only 125 on the sell side. Okay, so what is that telling you? It's telling you that when you get down to that price, all right, you're going to see if you're going to bump up against all these buyers, and you're going to see if people are joining them. If you start seeing that and you see these numbers, and then I'll show you how the snapshot works because that's really important. If you start seeing that and you say, um, I'm going to hold off here and see, are they going to buy or are they going to sell? Now, if you're in a trade there, and let's say you're short up here, and you get down to this point, and you kind of determine the volume isn't that big yet, but these numbers tend to get quite large during the day, but we're still pretty early in the session. It's not even 15 minutes into the session yet. So this is just really an example. But you're going to get down here and say, um, you're at 76, 75, and you're going to see that right underneath you. This is a little bit how they use the DOM in real time, like on other platforms that don't have all this extra information. You'll see that if more trades start going off on the buy side here, you're going to say, yeah, this looks like a good support place. Maybe you're going to bail the trade. Maybe you're going to take half off if you see something else. But this is your line in the sand right there. Okay. Now we're moving down here. So I'm not going to be looking too much at the upside. But if I do look at the upside, the price currently is at 77.25. What do I have up here? What I have immediately, okay, at 77.25, I see that I have 5,900 on the split. and 50 about 5,300 on the buy side and the split. Right above it at 77.50, you had 1,400 go off here, and this one cleared, but you see very little volume. You see that diminishing volume going up of the trades that actually nothing went off up here. Okay, they're all sellers. Again, it's early in the session, but you get the gist of what I'm saying, I'm sure. So as we turn this on now, let's see. Does that drive me wild or what? I hate that. I spoke to Peter about it, but he says there's nothing they can do. Did it again, damn it. This is just a graphics glitch in Jigsaw, and you have to fool around with it. During a live session, that doesn't happen too often, although you do have to straighten it out once in a while, especially if the market's moving fast. And it's just a glitch in his software. Someday I hope they fix it because it's annoying. Okay, anyway, here we are back on the footprint, and let's just start up again and see where we're going to go. Okay, now remember what I said before about that cross. Okay, here you look like you had the potential of turning around here. You want, maybe it was a reversal, maybe it's a pullback, you don't know. But the very next bar, you see, man, there's the delta. You see the cross. You see only 32 up here. You see 24.12 and 861 at the bottom. They are selling. Now, when you go back over to your Jigsaw here, you're at 76.50, and remember I said here, you're going to be watching now. You're going to be watching this number 2386, because that's when what those are real trades. Those went off. Okay, those are not speculative. Those are not spoofs. Those are not icebergs. They're not all that other stuff. This is the real, what really executed on the book. Okay, right below it, you got somebody that sold 32.23. Okay, so and over here on your split volume, you have a little bit of you see a little bit more buying up here, but you got a hell of a lot more selling down here. Okay, but you don't want to go up. If this is sitting there and somebody decides to join this, say, this looks like a good spot for a reversal, and I'm going to buy 1,000 or whatever they do. You have to kind of wait, and you have to use some judgment and say, what's the lineup here? Okay, the lineup, and if you see, you've got, and this is the resting limit orders right here. You got 1,056 and 1,071 above it. Over here on this, and this is hard to see because, like I said, the graphic here screws up in the market replay, which I'm sorry about, but I think you get the idea. The snapshot is what they're adding or taking off. Okay, now as this moves forward in time, I'm going to just turn it on 1x. Okay, so let's just watch it for a minute. You got 76.50. You see, this is going to vacillate a little bit back and forth. Okay, now that 2300 cleared. Now it broke right through there. Now let's stop. Okay, now what do you have? You had you had a little bit of a pushback here, but you had 1273 go off, but you have 486, 912. You got 1,000 up there, okay, and you got 855 that's intending to sell. So let's see what happens. And your footprint is telling you. I mean, you just look at that ratio there. It's you see you see how many are going off. You just see it. There was 200 there. There's 100. You have a little pushback on the buying. But here you are down here. The price is at 76.25. A little bit of buying, but you got this whole lineup here. And what do you have on the buy side? And yet you got nothing. Okay, you got 100 here, 795, 1127. Who's going to disappear? And these guys are all going to disappear. They probably want to sell. They sit down there. This is typical of what they do. They sit down there with these big numbers thinking, yeah, oh, wow, better watch out for that guy. He's going to start buying. And then the minute it hits down there, you see them selling up here. And then, vice versa. So that's where the volume comes in here. That's extremely important. You're starting to look at at your volumes here, okay, and what actually is going off here. And bonds, I'll show you the bond trade the next video. It's very graphic in the bond trade, because when they start selling or they start buying, they're doing it up in multiples on the 10-year and the thousands. And the 30-year. It can reach up in the thousands, but you see a synchronicity between the two, and you just know it's going one way or the other. And when they're sitting dead even here, all they're doing is scalping back and forth a couple of ticks. So let's turn this on again and see what happens. Footprint says it's going down. The Jigsaw platform says it's going down. Now here, I'm going to clear this out just for a minute. I'm just going to clear it so that you can watch. Okay, so now this is coming in real time. I just cleared it to 0, and the reason I do that, like I said, if I was going to take a trade in here, I want to see clearly that one side is overtaking the other, hopefully in my direction. Okay, so as we watch this now, and the ES goes pretty fast when it starts to move like this. It's easier to see on the bonds because they're slower. Back to the footprint, you see, we're definitely on the sell side. You're at, support area. You got yesterday's high, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So and then you have a high volume node over here, the ES high volume node. So you don't know, there might be some buyers there or whatever. It's the old fundamental technical analysis stuff. The important thing to notice is that on this sell side, this is where you're accumulating the volume. There it is. It's right in front of you. It's right here and it's right there. You're not going to be considering a buy here. You just are not. You already passed the high volume node, so you're on the other side of the ocean, so to speak, and you're going down. And look at the volume over the split volume here tells you a lot. You have 1,000 here, and you see it. You can watch it build in real time. You got 15 here, 1,100 here. You're going back, and it goes back and forth a little bit. Who knows what they're doing. But what you're watching here is this ratio, and you're watching your delta. Your delta is negative, okay? Relative to the previous bar, it's catching right up with it. Now look at that ratio that I was talking about here. You have 170 here, and you're watching, and what I say, I want to see who's running, who's sitting still, and who's running. That's just how I do it in my own head. So there, you see, somebody's running. They're running to the downside. You can see it. This is real time 1x, all right? So there we are. And you have nothing on this buy side. Everything's on the sell side. So if you're going to consider a trade, this would be about the place that you'd be doing it. I'd be looking for an entry point. I use that my little algorithm that I built, to give me a decent entry point, and then I look for some back ticking. But you don't even have on a day like this. You don't even have to do that. But you don't want to have a lot of back ticking because you know that everybody gets upset with back ticking. Okay, a little bit of a pullback here. And this is what you want to see when you're going to enter a trade. You see this 170 holding. Now, if you see somebody up here and all of a sudden they add 500 and you have 500 against 333, you'll say, well, let's hold our horses a little bit here before we enter the market. But you see it's just sitting there in the middle, and it's a little bit back and forth. You still have more sellers than you have buyers. So, over here, you definitely have more sellers than buyers. Your split volume is obvious. If that wasn't obvious, I mean, you just know. Unless, like I said, unless you see somebody come in here with 800 all of a sudden, and they show up and you only had five there, you'd say, "Whoa, let's stop the music. Am I getting out? What am I doing?" Okay, so those are the things that you look for. I'm going to pause it for 1 second here. Oh, okay, so we're back. I'm going to start this up. I want to see if I could straighten out those charts a little. Anyway, we're still on the sell side. It's going down. Question is, where are you going to get in the trade if you want to get in the trade? So, like I said, I use my little algorithm here, or I use this, just depending. But the back ticking is annoying, so it's you try to avoid it. I have to pause this one. Okay. So let's just say hypothetically I'm looking for a trade here. Here's another good point here. You see this? This is the net volume for this period of time where I cleared it from zero. We're on the negative side here. And if I was able to show you all the way up here from before prior to market open, you would see that that number had diminished as well. What that means is that you have more sellers than you have buyers. Very simple. So we still have a negative delta. We still are selling over here. And how hard they're selling is the next thing you're going to be looking for. So over here, where you have your split volume, you see you have 24, and that 24 has been building as it oscillates up and down. You see that the majority of the trades going off are the sells. So, like I said, unless you see something really huge coming in on the buy side, you want to stick to your sell side. And over here, this can be very deceiving because, and this is something, you know, on the ES, you have a lot of these automated algos going off all the time. On the bonds, you don't have as much, but you have traders who are doing essentially the same thing. They'll add, subtract, add, subtract, add, subtract. And even if it's moving down and you say, oh, it's a trend day, on the downside, well, really, maybe it really isn't. And the way you're going to tell is just by looking at this. Because on a true trend day, this nobody's going to be buying. So this thing is going to be staying negative all the way the hell down until it's over. And you're going to see huge numbers here. You're going to see these huge numbers coming in, hitting on the sell side. You're just going to see it. And that's one of the values of this market replay, because you can compare these days. Pick out a day where the market really dumped or really rallied, and it was a smooth ride up or down, and just watch this for a couple of hours, and you'll embed in your brain how it works, and then watch a day like this, which also turns out to be a down day, but it's not really a big trend day. It's just a down day. That's it. There's a difference, and you'll see it right here because you'll have people, little buyers, some buyers coming in here. Maybe they're taking profit. Who knows what's going on? But you won't see. You're not going to see those humongous numbers coming in here. They're definitely going to be on the sell side, but they're not going to be those humongous numbers that you have when there's a real sell-off in the market. And that's important to learn, and that's why doing the market replay is so important, because you have many more days like this than you do of the day where they're all tanking or they're all buying. This is the average day. This is the average day. It's going down, but it's not. It's certainly not a sell-off. So I'm going to just speed this up just a little bit so that we can get to a better point. Maybe my algorithm will pop off. We're still negative here. You had a few buyers come in here. Now you're going to be watching this because you have somebody buying right there. You have them buying right there, but you still have 116 there. Okay, your ratio is still on the negative side, but this is the type of thing that you learn to watch very carefully, because if they continue to buy over here, you'll see them jump. Sometimes you'll just jump over the next price level, and it'll go right here to 75.50, and somebody will come in there with 1,000 or something like that, and that's the end of the down move. Boom, you're going back up. And you know that that happens extremely fast, and that's why if you're watching this and you understand what those ratios mean, and you see this kind of action in the middle of the bar, you're going to be watching very carefully to see if you have a buyer, and you'll see him over here too. You'll see him, a big buy order come in here, and that's the point where you say you back off. If you're short, get out. If anything can happen, it can turn around. You have more sellers going down, so get back in. But when you see stuff like that with these numbers, the numbers tell you a story, and that story would be get out of the trade and wait and see. Now, right now, that hasn't happened. You just have more sellers coming in down here, and your ratio is still good. Your delta is a little bit weak because you had some buyers coming in here. But back on your platform here on Jigsaw, you still have sellers here. You had some buyers. These buyers here was what created this over here on this four range chart. So chances are, and there's relatively large volume, and it actually pushed the split volume up slightly, one tick above at 75. So you're going to watch it, but chances are it's going down. So let's watch it, see what happens. And remember that this number is still staying negative. It oscillates up and down with the market. You know that, just like everything. But it's fundamentally negative. That means that you have more sellers than buyers. You can confirm that here. And right at the bottom here, this is an excellent, here's an excellent demonstration that the probability of continued selling is there. That bottom is at 12.24. There was nothing here, and as you're moving up, moving up, moving up, 15.37, this area here, and you look at the split volume, they're selling. Okay, so let's see what we're going on now. You got 1224 here, and somebody's buying up here at 5. There's 582. Your ratio is still negative, though. Your delta turned positive, so you're going to be watching. Let's speed this up a little bit and see if we can get to a better point. I'm going to pause this for a minute.